Borough Council to order. Would everyone please rise and remain standing for Pledge Allegiance, a moment of silence for the armed services. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You?
Forgot what meeting I was at.
Brenda, may we please have roll call?
Counselor Andrews,
Present.
Counselor Catalani, Counselor Fliegel,
Here.
Counselor Coroli,
Here.
Counselor Rydell,
Here.
Counselor Tache,
Here.
Counselor Shear,
Here.
Mayor Miller.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Just a reminder to please silence all cellular devices during the meeting. And also, if you have not already done so, councilor members, please turn on your microphones. All right, no special visitors scheduled tonight, which takes us to public comment period number 1. Please state your name and address for the record, and try to limit your comments to 5 minutes.
Okay. Greg Reed, 233 East Hazel Street. Recently, my church started back up giving food to the food bank. And me and my wife picked it up today, filled a truckload. And I have a problem that I'd like Roger to solve. When we turned off of Railroad Street onto the alley where they unload, where the macadam stops, a big hole. If you have a sedan, it would do serious damage. I mean, I'd hate to think that somebody didn't want to deliver any kind of food in kind of the shape that small alley is in. You understand what I mean? It's bad, Roger. I mean, I got a 4-wheel drive truck and, I mean, I went down. So, I'd appreciate it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Dave McCloskey, 212 East Ridge Road. I apologize for my questions in advance. I missed the last meeting, and I understand there was some discussion about the pipe that's, I won't say terminated in my front yard, but planted there. If I could be brought up to speed on that, and then I'll definitely have some concerning questions.
Well, basically what we learned was PennDOT does not have any record of any easements for the pipe to be there. They don't know when the pipe was put there. So therefore, they don't want the pipe moved. They did say it can be moved, but we'd have to have property owners that would be agreeable to that, which we've had meetings with all the relative property owners, and they've no interest in assuming ownership of the pipe or on their property, so.
No, but I believe we all are in agreement that the homeowners are willing to have it moved at PennDOT's expense.
Yeah, well, they're not gonna move it.
Okay, so the borough has a stormwater plan filed with the county. How does that affect us up there on the hill with the way the situation is?
I don't think it has any effect.
The biggest stormwater issue in the 30 years plus that I've been in this borough has been from the north side of the borough. I would believe that our stormwater plan would be segmented, pointed in that direction to take care of where most of our issues are. They're not?
Well, I don't know the specifics of whatever county stormwater plan you're referencing. I mean, we have our own stormwater management ordinance.
Right.
And when the development was submitted, they had to prove that they were not increasing the runoff in that area, which they did to the satisfaction of the borough engineers, so.
They did to the satisfaction of the borough engineers?
Yeah.
So we could point back at the borough engineers saying, where did you come up with, I'm choosing my words correctly here, the knowledge-based idea that taking all the water off of a hill, putting it into one pipe would not increase the water flow that was just coming off of Ridge Road?
Well, it goes into a large basin first.
It does. And that large basin will take a lot of water. And that overflow, in a roundabout way, got connected to the pipe that comes down through the properties.
Right.
So we get, and we've had a lot of rain, and my yard's been a little wet. The potential for that to come down through there, if there is an overflow, is great. We've been battling this for over a year, actually longer than that. We've been battling it since they said they were putting a development there. It's time that somebody steps forward here and takes responsibility for errors made. And I'm not pointing fingers. If you want me to point fingers, I can, but that's not the way I try to do business. There were errors made in allowing that development to go forward as it is today. Collectively, I believe we need to come to an agreement and get it resolved, and resolved quickly. Putting the homeowners in a situation that we're in, needing to figure out a way to not have our properties washed away, I don't think is a very good situation for council to be putting us in. Yes, I understand there's certain things that are out of your realm, but collectively, I'll be honest, I think PennDOT needs to be held to the fire. They've made this mess. They engineered the piping, correct me if I'm wrong, in their water plan for the development. They should be held accountable. It's going on entirely too long. My front yard now has become a weed garden. I don't want our code enforcement officer coming up and giving me a ticket for it. It's not my fault. Yes, I do keep them cut down as best I can, but I want my front yard back. Any questions for me on my feelings? Thank you.
Don Barry, 711 North Grant. On the line of Mr. McClossy's subject, last week I observed that basin and it was full up to the overflow. The week prior to that, it was dry and cracking. I'm not certain, is there a regulation of flow in that thing, or is that regulated by the size of the pipe? If all they do is connect their screw up in Dave's yard and it comes down into Billy's yard and my yard, is it the same flow as if we get a monsoon and that pipe fills up? Or what do we got going on there?
Well, it's designed to be an infiltration basin. At what rate it infiltrates?
I know it's designed to do, but it's not gonna do that when it's full.
Yeah, I have
It's
no
only gonna
idea.
do both things, and one thing's gonna be faster than the other, we know that for sure. Because if it's full, it's already absorbed, it's already, yes.
Saturated.
It's been absorbing that water. And before they put their basin in there and we had the first flow of mud, slush, what have you, in our yards, That's the flow it has to handle. And anybody that thinks they're not getting more water coming down into that pond than what we had originally is out of their minds. They put macadam in, for crying out loud. It was a freaking farm field. And that was absorbing the water. So anyway, that's my questions and future answers.
Where is the pipe right now, just to refresh my memory? Because the pipe that they dug, where it's all weedy, isn't that the one that's closed off?
Well, it's not, the
Or they're
developer.
not using it?
No, they're using it. It's not connected the way it should be. Because when they
Then why are
put,
they using it?
PennDOT required them to replace the pipe under Ridge Road as part of their permit. When they did that, they didn't get the elevation right, so it doesn't line up the way it should in the inlet that's on the south side of the street. And they fabricated some kind of a temporary connection so that the water would leave that system if needed. But it needs to be redone. So
When are they gonna redo it?
I don't know. Bob, the developer either has to redig the road and put the pipe in, or he has to somehow get permission from Mr. McCloskey to do some work around the inlet to make things work the way it is.
Well, hearing that that basin's full is telling me that it's not working right. Something's not working right. I would think.
Would that be true? I mean, I know it doesn't happen very often, but now it's a retention basin, but behind my house, but it has been full.
Yeah, I have no idea like what rate it's designed to dewater. I don't know. Typically, it's 3 to 4 days after a major rain. It should be empty. But
So Roger, you're saying they got the pitch wrong for the exit from that,
Yeah,
to go
yes.
into the inlet by
right.
So
Mr.
then-
McCloskey's house?
What's the 10 yards west of there? Up towards Lincoln? Is that another pipe or is that not a pipe? That's the inlet? 10 yards? Roughly, I don't know, where they dug across the road. Not the pipe that's in your yard.
Or that's the sewer.
Oh, that's the sewer, okay. I think we need to be reaching out to the developer and finding out when he's planning on fixing that pipe. Because I'm sorry, but that's not acceptable. He knows it needs fixed, he needs to fix it.
Yeah, a temporary thing is one thing, but it's been temporary now for a while,
Summer.
yeah.
And I'd personally like to have an answer in 2 weeks. Because I'm not okay with a band-aided pipe. Didn't mean to interrupt the public comment. Anybody else? Come on
It's
back.
rebuttal, it's rebuttal.
You got 1 minute. I'm just kidding.
Name and address, please.
Just telling him to go fix the pipe, I can see the writing on the wall. come, they dig up the end, put a extension on, try to figure out some way to connect it to the smaller pipe, and we still have the water running down through. My thoughts are that we need not just to tell him to fix it, that it's time to fix it. We've got to give him a plan to fix it correctly. Telling him to fix it, they'll look at the plans that were approved and say, this is what we are to do, which doesn't solve anything for the borough or the residents. The whole roadblock to plan, Roger, correct me if I'm wrong, A, B, C, D, E, and F
I think we
was
got the-
PennDOT.
Yeah, we got the G, I think,
G.
yeah.
We're beyond age.
Yeah, we're getting close. But everything that everybody came up with, PennDOT nixed, which continues to put water onto private property. How do we, as a borough, light a fire under PennDOT or just blow them up out of the way so that this can be fixed correctly? Sorry, Chief, I didn't say that. Yes,
Truthfully, you as a homeowner would have more say than the borough would.
So Representative Diamond's office suggested that the other option would be for the affected property owners to sue PennDOT.
A civil suit.
Civil suit.
so the burden is being put on the homeowners for something we didn't create.
But I think if it's a group of citizens rather than a borough, maybe, like Roger said, you wouldn't hold more water, more weight, not more water.
Bad
We
choice.
don't need any
More
more
weight,
on that
yes.
chain. So you're looking for us to do a civil suit against PennDOT.
I'm not looking for anything. That was a suggestion from,
They're suggesting we do a civil suit. Is the borough interested in joining that?
no, but, I mean, is there a way you could? Listen, PennDOT's difficult to contact, work with. Wonder if even a letter on behalf of the residents would be a start. Again, putting the onus on you guys, which,
Then my next question would be, Roger, can you give me some names in order to send these letters to?
For contacts at PennDOT?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
not the perfect solution, but
But it might be a way to
maybe it'll
light the fire.
kick them into gear.
The borough's presented them with how many plans, and they
I know.
poo-pooed us. So they're gonna have more impact.
Okay. Anybody else for public comment? Okay. All right, closing public comment period number 1. Moving on to the consent calendar. The following agenda items will be acted upon by a single motion unless a member of Borough Council wishes a specific item to be voted on separately. Approve the minutes of the May 13th, 2025 Borough Council meeting. Approve payment of all bills listed on the April 2025 detailed check listing report. And approve the treasurer's report for the period April 1 through April 30th, 2025.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Action and discussion items. Moving on to the Electronic Skill Games Regulation Ordinance. Counselor Rydell.
Okay, so I gave out last week for everybody to go over an ordinance for us. So the nice thing is with this is we skip zoning. We don't have to worry about zoning because by law, we are allowed to regulate businesses and amusement devices and public safety within the borough. So by creating this, we are in effect creating public safety by keeping them in liquor licensed establishments. Nationally and state recognized veterans organizations, the Legion, the VFW, and vets, because they're all controlled. You gotta be a certain age, be in there at certain times. And it limits commercial businesses that they have to have an age verification system on the machine. That way my son, when he starts riding bike more and running around, doesn't stop down at the quick shop and, oh, look, I'm gonna put some money in here and play a game. Also requires our codes office to charge $100 per terminal a year. And any violation is up to $500 a day. So this does not ban skill games in the borough. It leaves zoning out of it. Does not conflict with the Senate Bill 626, which for the last 10 years, we have yet to get anything passed in the state on skill games. It's a fight, it's going to be a fight. And the way things are looking with 626, it's going to die this year, out of this year's session. And next year, they'll bring another one, and that'll end up going through, and that'll die. So it's up to us to protect our citizens when the state's not going to.
I have no issue at all with that stuff, and very good points. Did I read something in here about, like, I know anything that, like the VFW and the Legion get, they have to donate a certain, private clubs have to donate a certain portion.
So what it is, and Brona would probably agree with me on this one, like at the Legion, that goes through the club, that goes through the House Association. Percentage of that gets donated to the Legion, but the VFW, I'm not sure what the VFW's inner workings, but it probably goes to your main body of veterans. So it goes back to that, which we use to give grants and stuff out as the Legion and give
I know,
scholarships.
that's been open for discussion too, the percentage that they get to keep and have to give
And
away.
And that's
But
federal,
again,
and that's,
yeah.
I think that's federal, that what states, how much through headquarters, how much we have to give away every year.
So, that to me is another thing that's an issue with this, because if a private company comes in and does these skill games, they can just keep
They're all
100%
profit.
of it.
They're
Yeah.
all profit.
Yeah. And, that's not fair to our private clubs.
Yeah, and the skill games, they kept the organizations alive during COVID. You know, those were, when they were allowed to be open, that's what helped the Legion, the VFW, the fire companies that have clubs. That's what's helped them during COVID. So, you know, these have been around and they've been a big help.
And with the private clubs, that goes for punch boards and everything, right?
Oh, yeah, pull tabs, punch boards. There's a long list of stuff we have to fill out every month, the general manager fills out every month to send to the state.
Now, there were a couple that Marcus had done that Joselle commented on. Has she seen this latest version?
She has not, because
Okay.
we weren't sure if the full council was gonna move this
So
forward.
the other
or not.
ones, they involve zoning, which would also involve the county commission, stuff like that, so that's why she was a little leery, I think, because it would, then when SB 626, if something happened, that's why I got to doing the research and found the state level, what we're allowed to do at the borough with businesses, so it clears us of that issue.
What is our current, Roger or Brenda, in our current codes for our skills games? What is our annual fee for those? Like the ones that are in the,
be honest, I don't even know.
you
We have
collect
a
it.
list, we send the guys out to verify them, they come in and pay, I wanna say it's like $35 or something
No,
per
I thought it was-
device.
That was 100.
I thought it was 100, yeah.
So that's why I left it at 100.
Machine, I think.
Yeah.
okay, so it's in line with that.
So I only have two questions, well, a comment and a question. I worry about code enforcement having the time to police these. And that's, and actually with anything within the borough. But my other question is, to all of council. I mean, I don't see anything negative with this. Would we be okay with running this current one past Joselle to see her comments? I mean, she knows municipal government better than,
Where I'm good with it.
Yeah, I don't mind her.
The other question I have are definitions on, oh, sorry, I don't have a page number.
second last.
Page numbers on,
Second
Marcus.
last.
Second to last page, the definitions under section 1, are those definitions in line with our definitions that we have elsewhere for those establishments, organizations? Like, are they
Yeah,
they
I think so.
synonymous
Yeah.
or
I think so.
compatible? Okay.
The only thing is the other commercial establishments, I'm sure Joselle's gonna wanna tighten that definition up a little bit. Because it might open some loopholes that were
Right.
unintended, but
But that's what we have her for.
that's right.
Want your answer for the taxes, it's $15 for a jukebox and it's $35 for everything else. So, but you'd also have to do something with the amusement tax then. Because you're almost doing it twice. So, you'd have to look at that one also.
Yeah, so that would come under an amusement tax and this.
Cause you have it under the 35, or 325-1 is the whole section. But this talks about like the games of skill, and that's basically what everybody, the VFW, the Legion, the different places, you almost have to take and get, however Joselle would do that, you'd have to get rid of this and almost incorporate this with that ordinance.
Okay, so can we think about the $100? Because again, you know, it's great for a business, but I don't wanna hurt the VFW and the Legions too. You know,
Right.
yeah. So, can that be a discussion?
And the reason I went with 100, because that's what the state's looking at doing.
Yeah. Well, if the state ends up doing it, then we would have to abide by what the state does,
Actually,
but
we could be grandfathered in, because we set the
if we
precedent
passed
first.
this before. But I don't wanna penalize the private clubs if they're only paying 35 now and,
No, I get that.
okay.
What would stop anyone from just opening up a private club, getting a liquor license or whatever, and if Keystone Club just wanted to become a private club, could they do that?
We would have to approve the liquor license, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Well, right, but,
Yeah, they'd have to get one first, because I don't know how many, I don't think there's any left in the borough.
Well, and I
well,
think,
there's,
not saying it couldn't happen, but I would think that a place like that it would be beneficial to have it open to everyone. Rather,
Sure.
because a private club, you have to join, I mean, you get memberships and.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, so, it's a valid question, I just don't know that their business model would,
Change.
No, I mean,
or they would, I mean, they want everybody to come in.
Yeah, and under my heading, Bruno, the other percentage includes private clubs.
Just as a staff member, though, I sort of second your concern about the codes officer being the enforcement
Yes.
rather than the police, because, you know, 4:30, our codes officer goes home. If there's a
and most of
problem
those
at 7
places,
o'clock at night, the police are gonna respond to it anyway. So, you know, it makes more sense to kick that back to
Right.
your public safety entity. Not that codes isn't public safety, but.
Right, it's,
But they already have their hands full as we're down to one codes, and he's taken on zoning as well. I really hate to add anything else to his plate right now.
It's okay, we give him oxygen every day, he's doing fine.
oxygen and caffeine,
Do it flowing through the vents now?
slide a pot of coffee at the door, here you go.
Is anybody opposed to sending this on to Giselle?
Would you also like her to put it into our ordinance form, and then you can decide if you're gonna advertise it or not?
I have another question on your section 5, enforcement and penalties. Can we tighten that up a little bit? It just, your one just says repeat and willful violations may result in revocation of the right to.
Oh, I'm sure she'll,
Can we tighten that up? It's like, what are we talking about, repeat?
How many times is a
Yeah.
repeat?
What is a repeat violation?
2 strikes.
Great. Thank you, Marcus.
You're welcome.
Okay. That takes us to Resolution 2025-03, appoint municipal reps, Lebanon County Tax Collection Committee. Suggested motion is to approve Resolution 2025-03, a resolution appointing Mandy Braden to serve as the delegate and Lisa M. Dalbert to serve as the alternate delegate to the Lebanon County Tax Collection Committee.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Andy, related to Andy?
Sister-in-law.
Okay.
He used to be on the school board.
Thank you. And thank her, Lisa's been on our alternate for a while, but thank her for stepping up.
Okay, takes us to the President's Report. Hope everybody had a happy Memorial Day. It's almost summer, getting there. Takes us to the Mayor's Report.
You gonna say anything about the Memorial Day Parade? Well, yesterday there was a Memorial Day Parade in town, and it was spectacular, and I wanna thank everyone that was involved. It was really something. I was very, very happy about that. And also, there was another event in town. Seltzer's had a little event in town, which was fantastic as well. So these are things that are happening in town, fantastic. We had the, another couple of weeks ago, we had the food truck group that was out there in the block. So I'm seeing some great things happen in the town, so fantastic for the town, and I'm really glad it was going in that direction. So Memorial Day Parade, thanks, it was very good.
Okay. All right, that takes us to the financial report. Everybody should have the financial statement in front of them. Any questions on that? Or comments? No? Okay. Takes us to the fire department. Still over there? Okay. Anything? Okay. All right, library report. Everybody was given the report, printed copy tonight.
You're probably gonna receive it like this rather than being in your packets because it's a Tuesday and Roger does the packets on a Wednesday, so it makes it a little tough to get it done. But just want to remind everybody, the library book sale starts July 12th at First UM. Great deals.
Lots of books.
Jane.
Oh, there are.
Thanks, Jane. I know I have more
Yeah.
books coming to my house now.
Yeah, no,
It's a nice book sale.
it's a fabulous book sale.
My wife looks forward to it every year, so.
So do I.
So do I.
I still have some from last year I haven't read yet, but that won't stop me from buying more.
Okay. Any questions on the library report? Okay. All right, that takes us to the police report.
Any questions on the statistics that everybody has?
We're still in that time frame where we're still catching up to where we started the regional, right? Why we're seeing 0 in April 25th.
Yeah, next month, when we hit June, you'll start to see numbers to compare it against. Because today marks a year, so you only have a couple days in May, but then June, your statistics will start seeing where they go.
Any questions for Chief Winters on anything? No? Okay. All right, that takes us to Rec Commission.
You won't have that, that meeting was just Wednesday night, last Wednesday, so you probably won't have that for another week or two,
Okay.
2 weeks probably.
All right, solicitors report. We didn't have anything.
I don't have anything for, no.
All right, zoning and codes enforcement, zoning hearing board, there was no hearing scheduled for there is no hearing scheduled for Monday, June 9th. Which takes us to the borough manager's report.
The first item I have listed there, the emergency management coordinator. Apparently, South Londonderry has a possibility to take over for John Breve, so they're kind of working on that.
Because Gretna already named the county. I saw they voted on that.
I saw somebody did, that's why.
Yeah, I think it was
Oh,
Gretna.
Gretna.
Yeah,
Because they're members of Will
yeah, I
Creek.
know. That's why I was a little surprised when I read it that, so, I mean, I would assume they could probably change that if somebody steps up to take John's place.
They could, yeah.
I'd like to see us kept in our area, because nothing against the county, we know, our folks know our area better than the county
Totally
does.
agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we can face different challenges, so.
How many sinkholes you see popping up in Lebanon?
They probably did that so that they have one, because remember, they had the Arts Fest. So they might
They
have
get better
done that
coverage then.
just to make sure that they had somebody on board.
Yeah, and all their summer stuff's coming up, so they might have
Yeah.
been proactive on that.
Could be.
So do we have an idea, so when is John,
End of the year.
End of the
okay,
year.
okay, so we have a little bit of time, but it'll go fast, okay.
So I just wanted to reach out to the other municipalities to see, and they're all of our mindset, so hopefully this person comes through, so. The only other thing I can report is I think they finally developed a repair plan for the stormwater drainage trench at Main and Mark. I think they're gonna, the idea is just to jack the tops up, clean everything out underneath, put mastic in there, let it come back down, and then they're gonna drill and pin everything back to the walls of the unit, so. And that'll at least buy us some time to figure out what comes down the road for replacement. I don't have a cost estimate yet, I just heard this the other day, so that's the plan. I think Custer Excavating is going to be doing it. So, as soon as I know more, you will know more. Other than
You
that,
said you
that's-
don't know when they're gonna fix, Cherry Street?
Yeah, I do not have a date for that either.
Has anybody driven over that repair on Palmyra Road?
Yeah, oh,
Yeah, it's not very good.
Wow.
no, but I must say, I think they
Call it
did a
that.
decent job down at Sheets.
They did.
Did, PennDOT did great.
We'll see how long that lasts, but,
Yeah, because I hit that before they closed the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this one out here was a PennDOT one also.
Well, the PennDOT crew fixed the Campbelltown Road one. They hired a contractor to fix the one on Main Street.
oh, well, there you go.
Therein lies the difference.
Yep. Right, anything else?
That's it for me.
Okay, anybody have anything for Roger? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, all right, no communications, any other business? Chief, Mayor?
Nope.
Marcus? Bruno? Tim? Okay, that takes us to public comment period number 2. Please state your name and address for the record and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hey guys, Ryan Kelly, 134 North Chestnut. I just came up to talk about the skilled games thing because it just came up with zoning last month. And we actually did approve the Keystone Club to be in the Palmyra Shopping Center. And being that I've been on there for 10 years, just thought I would talk about what the issues are here. So in highway commercial and in some other districts, it's allowed by special exception. So the problem is when someone comes to the zoning board, you know, you have something that's allowed by right. That means you wouldn't have to come to the zoning board. They can do it. Special exception, they can come to the zoning board, but it lowers the threshold very, very low. So in the case of the Keystone Club, you know, you have to have it in an enclosed area. You have to have a litter plan. There's literally like 3 or 4 things. So there's no legal avenue currently for a zoning board to issue a denial if somebody comes for a special exception in those zones. What I would say is, if what Marcus is presenting, if you don't go forward with that, you as a governing body, you do have the options at looking at those zoning districts, and you can change what is allowed by right and what is allowed by special exception within those zones. I don't know how that affects the private clubs and the language there with what you would have to tailor that, but you may have some options there if it's something you really want to prevent. Because if you removed it as allowed by special exception, they would have to be asking for a complete use variance, and the threshold, correct me if I'm wrong, Roger, but the threshold is much higher. It takes in a lot more about the neighborhood, a lot more about the times, and we as a zoning board are able to attach conditions on that. Currently, we can do it with the special exception, but it's a little bit more difficult because it's only a few things they have to meet. And like I said, in this case, one of them was literally if the trash is being cleaned up in the parking lot. And of course, their lease at the Palmyra Shopping Center takes care of that one right
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
So, Ryan, to answer your question, and the proposal I made, there's a dual track review. So part 2 of what I presented directs the planning commission to evaluate our code to make sure that, you know, the zoning is appropriate to address, you know, the standalone.
Yeah, and I would say if you get into the weeds on that, it might be worth looking at a few other things that maybe are problematic. And, I mean, it's been a long time since, I believe it's been a long time since those uses by right, and it's like 2015, right?
2015.
So over the past, 11 years, maybe there's things and loopholes that have now come about that some of that language and some of those uses needs to be changed. I don't know if someone's willing to take on that zoning book.
I remember the last time it was done.
That was
But-
brutal.
But a few little things like, defining what is a skilled games and what areas and zoning districts that can be in, that might be an easier solution if what you're proposing doesn't work out.
And one thing is, Ryan, be clear, this isn't because of Keystone. This is becoming an issue where there's actually other boroughs within Commonwealth of Pennsylvania are looking, like Erie, one borough up in Erie is looking at doing this right now as well.
Yeah, and for 10 years on the zoning board, we don't have a whole lot of people that come in for special exception, and it's clear cut. Currently, I would say it's one of the easiest ones with these skilled games, and they know this. It's a loophole. So they come in. If you're in a shopping center that has an enclosed structure, you have a litter plan, and I think there's one other thing, I can't remember it right now.
Yeah, I can't
But
remember
it's so minor, our scope of what we're considering is so small.
There's no reason to deny it.
Yeah, there's no legal grounds for denial. So, the Keystone thing was a little backwards. They had to come to zoning after that, but it still doesn't change the fact that we wouldn't have had a grounds for denial.
Right.
So,
No, we assumed that that was gonna be.
yeah. But, yeah, we're kind of in a narrow lane, so.
You guys are black and white.
That helps, thank you. Anybody else for public comment? One second, I'm taking some notes. Okay, all right, closing public comment period number 2. Borough Council will conduct its next public meetings on Tuesday, June 10th, 2025, and Tuesday, June 24th, 2025, beginning at 7 p.m. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 21 minutes is my fastest.